to our last virtual session of the 2025 Take Me Outside week. So sad. It has been an incredible week full of incredible speakers and inspiring sessions. So we're so happy that you're joining us here for this final session. My name is Rachel. I'm the Education Program Coordinator with Take Me Outside. I'm joined by Michaela, who is our admins and communications coordinator here at Take Me Outside.
Everyone.
Yeah, and so Michaela is going to be supporting us behind the scenes today in the chat. So if you have any technical difficulties or you need some help, Michaela is here to assist. We would love to know, some of you have already been doing this, we'd love to know where you're joining us from today. If you're from a school or organization, you can also share that in the chat. And we'd love to know who we have here today with us. And so before we get started, just a few little housekeeping notes for today's session. As a reminder, if you do require closed captioning, we suggest that you maybe hop off StreamYard, head on over to YouTube. StreamYard, unfortunately, does not have a closed captioning feature, but YouTube, you can access closed captioning over there. Just as a reminder today, today's session is going to begin with a warm-up movement activity from our friends over at Move by GoodLife Kids. So make sure you've maybe got a little bit of room around you because we are going to be getting started with that today. There will also be time for questions at the end for M, and we also have some prizes that are going to be randomly selected from attendees of today's session. Now, a colleague of ours, Jade, has a mentor who kind of shared this teaching with her that she then shared with us. And it's something that's really resonated with me as I think about this week and, you know, what we're asking of everybody to go outside. And so the teaching that was, it's not just about acknowledging the land or the people of a particular land, but asking what this knowledge and feeling compels you to do. And so this was Tim Patterson from the Little Nicola Band. And so this year for Take Me Outside Week, we have been doing a land acknowledgement mindfulness activity that really gets you thinking about a place or space that you have a connection to that maybe you visited before, and providing a moment to say thank you to that space and the people who have stewarded that land. So I'm going to get everybody, if you're sitting right now, you can just get comfy in your spot. If you are sitting in front of a desk and you want to put your head down, feel free to do that. And I'm going to get everyone to take a deep breath in through your nose and slowly exhale through your mouth. So let's do that 2 more times. Inhale and exhale. 1 more time, breathe in deeply and release. Now, as your breath settles into a natural rhythm, know that there's nothing to do, nowhere to go. We're just going to be here in this moment. Now, in your mind, begin to recall a time when you were outdoors, a moment that you may have felt calm, joy, or felt meaningful. Maybe it was playing at the park or walking in the forest or going to the lake, waiting for the bus, walking home from school, or even sitting in your backyard. It could be a memory that makes you smile or feel calm. Now take a moment to let that memory form. Where are you? What do you notice around you? What colors and shapes fill this memory? Now begin to connect to the sounds of this place. What kinds of sounds can you hear in this place? Maybe it's birds singing, the wind in leaves, or the crunch of gravel under your feet. Now let those sounds fill your mind. Take another slow, deep breath in and breath out. Take a moment to silently say thank you to this outdoor place and everything in it. Take a moment to say thank you to the animals, both big and small, that share this space with us. Take a moment to say thank you to the Indigenous people who have stewarded and cared for the land before us and continue to do so today. Now, when you're ready, imagine that memory slowly fading, but know you can visit it again. Anytime you want to feel calm, strong, or happy, now wiggle your fingers and toes, take 1 big breath in and let it out. And when you're ready, open your eyes. And so when I do this exercise and I think of my place, I'm taken to a spot really near my house on the shores of the Red River in Winnipeg, Manitoba, where I feel deeply connected to the land. And this is a place I feel deep gratitude for the lessons the land teaches me and has taught me throughout the seasons, and also for the Indigenous people who have stewarded these lands and waters. I'm very honored to live and learn on Treaty 1 territory, which is the original lands of the Anishinaabe, Inahuac, and the Dakota, and the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Now, as I mentioned, throughout this week, we invite you all to give thanks to the places that you visited during this exercise and learn more about whose traditional lands these are. Throughout the week, we ask that you craft a living land acknowledgement. Now, a living land acknowledgement is a land acknowledgement that goes beyond a simple statement. It is dynamic, alive, and embodies action and commitment to truth and reconciliation. In these acknowledgments, you not only recognize the truth and local history of the land you're on, but also provide an opportunity to express meaningful gratitude for the original caretakers of the land and the gifts and the lessons the land offers us. We have resources on our website on how you can craft those land acknowledgements together as a class, as individual learners. We highly encourage you to take part in this activity. And tomorrow, for our day of reflection, we've created space for you to do that. We'd love to see the land acknowledgements you come up with, and you can send those to us at info@takemeoutside.ca. Now, to begin today's session, we are joined by Sarah from Move by GoodLife Kids. And so she's going to tell us a little bit about Move, but also run us through a warm up activity to get us ready for our speaker today. So, welcome, Sarah.
Hello, everyone. All right, let's get our presentation. Perfect. There we go. Awesome. So good morning or good afternoon. It depends on where you are joining us from today. So I'm excited to introduce you to the GoodLife Kids Foundation. It is a national registered charity with a mission to empower kids and youth with autism and intellectual disabilities through fitness and physical activity. Our vision is simple but powerful in that all youth, regardless of ability, experience the joys and benefits of being active. At GoodLife Kids Foundation, we believe fitness is a right, not a privilege. For over 25 years, we've been making a difference across Canada, and one of the most impactful ways we do that is through the MOVE program. So this MOVE program launched virtually in 2020 and has since then grown into a nationwide hybrid program, and we offer both in-person and virtual classes. We know that many youth with autism and intellectual disabilities face barriers when it comes to being active, whether that's cost, lack of support, or environments that aren't accessible. And the MOVE program was created to remove those barriers, making fitness fun, inclusive, and adaptable for everyone. So each of our classes follows a consistent and engaging structure that helps our participants feel comfortable and confident. We always start with a welcome and a talk topic, followed by a warm up to get everybody ready to move. And then we transition into 1 to 3 exercise circuits, which include fun fitness games, dance breaks to help keep the energy high. And finally, we finish with a cool down and a mindful moment, helping participants wind down and feel proud of what they've accomplished. So we offer free 60-minute classes that are held 2 to 3 times per week, and this runs year-round. Our classes are designed to meet the individual needs of our participant, making sure that all of them can take part and succeed at their own level. All of our classes are taught by specialized coaches. They receive specialized training to deliver MOVE classes safely and inclusively. Each class is also, our virtual space is helped and supported by a MOVE support agent, and they work together to create really positive and encouraging experiences for our participants. So if we're going to look kind of beyond the numbers of what the MOVE program does, at the heart, we see the impact. And this is the stories that we hear from families. So one of our caregivers, they have said that she has become so vocal thanks to this program. It's done wonders for me as a caregiver. I feel better watching and hearing these connections through the program. I trust the coaches and agents just like I would family. I'm relieved that she gets to move it 3 times a week without any financial burden. All in all, it's been a blessing. And these feelings are reflected in our results. So we do an annual survey every year, And from that, 93% of our caregivers said that Move helped their youth develop courage to try new things. 91% said that Move helped to improve their social skills, independence, and well-being. And 100% of them said that the classes helped to increase their confidence in movement and exercises. So these outcomes remind us that Move isn't just a fitness class, it's a space where our youth can grow, connect, and thrive. And so next, I want to introduce you to Rebecca. She is one of our Move ambassadors, and she's going to share with you what the Move program means to her and how it's made a difference in her life.
You ready for some questions?
What kind of questions? Hi, my name is Rebecca. The fun fact about me is I like to travel and speaking languages. I am so excited for the Move because I practice anything because I like to move all the time. I am part of this. It's so much fun. Move my GoodLife kids is my favorite part of the day.
Awesome. So stories like Rebecca's help capture the true spirit of Move, building confidence, community, and joy through movement. So now that you've kind of seen a little bit of what Move is all about, here's how you can join. If you know anyone in your community, your family, you would let them know that they're going to register through the GoodLife Kids Foundation website. They would receive a welcome package to get started. We do a meet and greet with their coach, and that's a friendly one-on-one meeting prior to starting their first class so that they get comfortable, they get to introduce. We can find out if they have any special interests or any needs that we need to worry or focus on. And then they start joining their first class and start moving, and then we start building rewards. So for the more classes they attend, our participants can earn lots of fun rewards and Move swag. So we've tried to make this process as simple and stress-free as possible for participants and our caregivers. And so at the end of each class, we use our mood meter. And this is a visual tool that helps participants connect how their mood changes before and after movement. It's a powerful way to build self-awareness, to show how physical activity supports both body and mind. Because at Move, it's not just about getting stronger, it's about feeling better, more confident, and more connected. So we're getting ready, we're gonna start. So I hope that you are getting ready to move. If you want, you can just let us know in that chat, how are you feeling getting ready before this session? As your body's getting ready, are we excited to move? And so every class, every smile, every little small victory is something bigger, creating a more inclusive and active Canada, one move, if you want to say, at a time. So we're excited for you to be part of our little mini warm-up coming up. And before we hear from our incredible speaker, Em, we're going to do a little warm-up together. So I invite you to get up. I'm going to stop sharing here. I want you to get up. We're going to stretch it out, shake off the morning or afternoon. Our Move warm-up is all about having fun, getting our body energized. No equipment is needed. There are no wrong moves. So wherever you are, stand up if you're able, make some space, and we're going to get ready to move. All ready. So we are going to start nice and easy, and we're just going to start with a march. So if we can, this march can look very different. I can have my knees barely coming off the ground, or I'm going to lift them all the way up. and get our arms pumping. And we're gonna do this for 10 seconds together. Here we go, for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, awesome job. 1, we're gonna go bring our arms all the way up and bring it down. Awesome. If you are seated, we can still do the exact same movements. If you are having a seat, I will bring my chair as well. And we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna breathe it up and down. We're gonna go for 5 more deep breaths. Bring it up and down. Awesome job. 1, keep going. Big breath in and down. Last one, bring it all the way up and down. Awesome. So we're going to do some side bends. We're just going to warming up those sides, lifting one arm up and reaching over to our side. Bring it back up. Our other arm's coming straight up. We're going to reach it over and back down. Same thing if we are standing, arms on the over. We can get a little bit of a deeper bend. We're going to do 3 more on each side. So this is 1. Awesome job. It's 2. And our last one on each side. Perfect. All right, we're going to do some toe touches. So we're going to kind of work, helping get that back. Back, touch our toes, standing back up. If we cannot go as far, we're going to go and touch our knee and then come back up. Sit, touch our knees. We're going for 10. Again, we can do it seated. So I'm going to come down, touch my foot, up. There's 2, 3, 4, 5. Awesome job. 6, 7, 8, 9. Great job. Last one. And 10. All right, we're going to do our squats. So we're going to try to have our feet hip width apart if we are standing. We're going to push our bums back and pretend we're sitting on a chair. So we're going down for 1, 2, 3. If we are sitting, we're going to sit and we're going to lift our leg. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Last one. And 10. Awesome job. All right, we're doing jumping jacks. We're finishing with 10. Lots of options for these. Traditional jumping jacks. We're jumping out. We're jumping in. We can step. Here we go for 10. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Awesome work. 8, 9, and 10. Awesome job. Our last movement. Trying to get our hearts a little bit increased if they're not already. We're going to do a little jogging on the spot. So again, we're going to go for 10 seconds. Here we go. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This might be the longest second ever. We're going to speed it up as fast as you can. And we're going to hold it. It's the longest second ever. For 1. And relax. Awesome job. Fantastic work. High fives for every single person. I hope you had fun. I hope your heart rate is a little bit elevated and we are ready to listen to the awesome words of M. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shara. I don't know if you saw me below. I was moving. I was getting
awesome.
Getting warmed up. I'm super excited. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit about Move and for joining us and being with us here to help celebrate.
Our pleasure.
The end of Take Me Outside Week. So thanks so much. Awesome. Well, I am really excited to welcome McDermott. She is a Canadian paraclimber and world medalist who has been passionate about the outdoors as far back as she can remember, from backcountry canoe trips in Algonquin to rock climbing all around the world. Sport and exploration among her favorite things to do. So I'm going to welcome to the stage Em, and let's give her a big Take Me Outside welcome.
Hello, everybody. Holy smokes. Thank you so much for that wonderful movement exercise, Sarah. I definitely needed that this morning. I was feeling a little bit sleepy. I'm definitely awake now. I said good morning. Maybe I should have said afternoon, depending on where you are in the country. I would love to hear how many different places you're all from. Could you jump in the chat right now and tell me where you are? I currently am in Revelstoke, BC, in Pacific Standard Time, so it's only 10:30 in the morning. Well, 10:20 to be exact. Revelstoke is on the traditional territories of the Ktunaxa, the Secwepemc, the Sinix, the Syilx, and Stoney nations. These Indigenous people have cared for the mountains, rivers, and forests here for thousands of years, teaching us how to respect and grow alongside nature. How cool is it that so many different nations have called this land their home? I see some Ontario, some BC. There was quite a bit of BC earlier. So lots of mourning for many of us. The town I live in right now has tons of people from all over the world. I have neighbors from Germany, Brazil, France, Colombia, India, and even the Philippines. How many different countries or regions are represented in your room? Let's all take a moment to look around and think about where you and your friends have been. Do you have a favorite place to go? Is it near to your home? Is it far away? I want to take maybe 30 seconds here to share with your friends a place on the map that has left a mark on you. Maybe thinking about something special that we did or learned or remember from that place. So you can go ahead and share with your neighbor right now. And if anyone has something really special that they would like to share, again, please feel free to put it on the chat. I would love to read it. And we'll bring it back. So thank you all for sharing. I hope you learned something new and got to visit somewhere special in your mind or imagination. In just a little bit, I'm going to share some really cool adventures that I've been on with all of you. But before I do that, this is a picture of me on international television during our finalist introduction at the World Cup in Salt Lake City this spring. As you can see, I'm a little bit caught up in this climbing rope. Believe it or not, this isn't the first time that happened. I've been all tied up in climbing since I first tried it in 2015, probably. Well, I mean, that's the official year that I tell people. I really started climbing when I was close to your age. My family does a lot of camping and canoeing around Algonquin, Killarney, and Grundy. I thought we would maybe be able to raise our hands in this streaming service, but it doesn't appear to be the case. So if you've been to any of those places, Algonquin, Killarney, or Grundy, send a little emoji or note in the chat. And if you haven't been there, let me tell you a little bit about them. So they're provincial parks in central Ontario. They are teeming with wildlife. Can you guess what kind of stuff can be found there? Again, let's jump in the chat and list a few. So think animals, think types of rocks, think what other things do we find when we walk outside? So I'm sure, have been there. Amazing. Sorry, Adam, I'm just seeing you've got 3 or 4 people in your class who have been there. I wonder if they've been camping or canoeing or for a little hike. So if we ask those folks, I'm sure they would say things like squirrels, maybe raccoons, maybe some bears, some lakes, and probably some rocks. There's a lot of diversity in the flora and fauna of Ontario alone, and it makes me extremely grateful to have so many special protected conservation areas we can visit and be a part of. Frogs, deer, bear, lots of mountains and lakes. That's very, very, very good answers. I see mountains, but again, I didn't hear anyone say rocks. But let me tell you, moose, deer, beavers, kittens, and squirrels. Nice. All of those parks do have some pretty sweet rocks. Both Grundy and Killarney have these super fun rock faces that you can climb up and then either jump off of or slide into the water. And Algonquin has so many different rivers and creeks with boulders scattered all the way through where you can rock hop to get to the other side. If you like climbing on, jumping off, or sliding around on wet rocks, give a thumbs up to your whole classroom. And if you don't, give a thumbs down. So if you have your thumbs up, we're going to take a second to find someone with their thumbs down and pair up with them. And I want you to try and change each other's mind. So we'll take 30 seconds again here. Find a partner and share with them why you like rocks or why you don't. And let's bring it back again. So between you and me, I hope that the rock lover won the debate. As I was saying, I grew up playing on and around rocks. I climbed up them whenever I could, but when I couldn't, I rode bikes down on them, I jumped off of them into water, and I used them as slip and slides in the rain. I hope you get the picture. Fast forward about 10 years, I'm in college and I hear about this club. It's called a rock climbing club. So I hear about this rock climbing club and I decide I better check it out. I showed up to the first meet and had no idea what to expect. We drove 2 hours from the little town we lived in to the big capital city of, quick, tell me in the chat, what's the capital of Canada? I'll hold it until someone gives me the answer. What's the capital of Canada? Ottawa! That's right. So we drove 2 hours to Ottawa to go to this place called an indoor climbing gym. What a strange concept. I was really confused about why we were driving so far to go to an indoor gym when there were so many beautiful outdoor rocks to climb nearby. Well, I soon found out. Indoor climbing gyms are built to, in some ways, mimic the outdoor rocks in a controlled environment, which meant that I got to learn how to tie special knots and secure myself 30 feet in the air without having to worry about rocks or tree branches falling on my head, or it's starting to rain, or getting dark at night. This was where my passion for climbing really began. It was also the starting point of some challenges. Adam's class, get ready for a big geography lesson. So I'd like you all to take a moment to get out your detective magnifying lenses. Look very closely at this image. Please put any observations that you make in the chat. What do you notice that's special about it or maybe different? Almost like a game of I Spy. And all answers go. There's no judgment here. All I'm looking for are observations, so don't hold back. Mallory, well done. And it's not just my hand. Did you look at the other two people's hands in there? So raise your hand if you notice that 3 people are clapping their hands. And then keep your hand up if you notice that all 3 of those people have limb differences. A little detail that I omitted earlier is that I'm disabled. When you think of the word disable, what comes to mind? Is there a certain disability that you picture? Do I look like what you picture? There are many different types of disabilities, visible and invisible. physical, cognitive, developmental, and behavioral, that can exist, coexist, and present in a variety of ways. When you first heard me speak and saw my face, did you form any stories or ideas on who you think I am or what I do? Did Rachel's introduction influence that? Does seeing my little hand change it? As humans, we are constantly gathering data. Our brains are big little computers, always trying to make sense of our environment, trying to find patterns for recognition to help make sense of the world around us. It's normal to notice when things are different. It's normal to feel a little bit uneasy about things we're not used to seeing. That's our brain processing visual input in real time. What's important is what we do with that information. Just because something is different does not mean it's dangerous. Oftentimes, it's really an opportunity to expand our minds and learn. Just ask if you don't know or understand. So, going back, remember when I said that my passion for climbing was also the starting point for some challenges? Well, climbing requires a bit of legwork and rope work. As you can see in this picture, the walls we climb for competition are enormous, so obviously safety is an important concern. Having a disability was never much of a barrier for me. In fact, until I was about 20 years old, I felt weird even calling my little hand a disability. It had never really interrupted my life. I figured out how to tie my shoes, just the same as you. I learned how to ride a bike, canoe, paint my nails, swim, and ski, similarly to many of you. That was until I decided I wanted to belay. So in climbing, there's a person attached at either end of the rope. On the climber's end, there's a knot tied directly onto your harness. So the harness is the thing around my waist that has the little chalk bag and glasses bag in this picture. On the belayer's end, which is the person who stays anchored to the ground, that's what I'm doing in this image, they are attached using a belay device. This is a belay device. So belay devices like the Gree-Gree, that's what this is, and Trango Virgo use mechanical advantage to assist in braking. I'm sure that's something many of you, I want to say fourth graders, will begin learning about. So with this device, the rope feeds through in here. And if there's any tension on the rope, for example, someone falls and is dangling midair, the device pinches, so it lifts up and it pinches the rope to prevent the climber from falling any lower. Note how I said, help your hands hold on. So remember that picture of me tied up in the climbing rope? I have 1.5 hands at best. We can all agree on that, right? So my first of many challenges was convincing the examiner that one can indeed belay and use this device safely with less than 2 hands. I had my work cut out for me. Do you recall when we chatted about how when we perceive something unfamiliar or new, we often start with skepticism? This is exactly what my examiner did. Now, the trouble was, instead of him just letting me show him how it was possible, he just kept saying, there's no way it's safe. I can't let you do that. It was just way too far outside his comfort zone. After a whole awful lot of convincing and one very willing subject, shout out to my college friend, the examiner agreed to give me one chance to show him that I could do it safely. This is where the importance of just because something is different does not mean it's dangerous. Oftentimes, it's really an opportunity to expand our minds and learn, really comes in. But it can be quite difficult to learn when we're scared, which is a feeling often associated with perceived danger. I'd like to introduce you to a concept that you may already know, the comfort zone. But let's expand on that idea. An educator in experiential and adventure learning named Carl Ronk coined this concept. It begins with the comfort zone, that warm, cozy space where nothing in the world could ever harm you. It's like laying in a pillow fort with your favorite sweet snack and an endless supply of that great TV show you've been watching. All is good in the world. You're cool as a cucumber. This is called your comfort zone. In this zone, there's no need to learn anything. You could if you wanted, but why would you? This is the zone where you get a brain break, rest and relaxation. Next, we have your stretch zone. This is where you're like halfway going bananas, not fully freaked out, but cautious of the banana peel on the floor. You're alert and don't want to slip, but still walking around the room. This is the space where our brain is actively processing our surroundings, but still open to a change of perception. That means that you're not panicked or overwhelmed and are open to challenges. Sounds like the perfect recipe for learning. Finally, we have the panic zone. There's no learning or growing happening here. You've bit off more than you can chew and you're actively choking. You're frozen on stage getting pummeled by tomatoes. I hope you've all seen little videos of people in the old days who didn't do too great in theater and got shrouded with many red fruits. Okay, maybe that's a little dramatic, but in all seriousness, once you are in the panic zone, it's all about survival. You lose your ability to rationalize and are acting completely from an automated state of survival, less thinking and more action. So, bringing it back to my belay test with this little guy, what zone do you think my examiner may have initially been in? What zone do you think he was in when he decided to let me show him how I could modify and do it with one hand? Let me know in the chat. Do you think he was in the comfort zone when he wasn't open to learning or trying new things? Do you think he was in the stretch zone? Do you think he was in the panic zone? Let me know in the chat. That's right. He started in the panic zone. So, being in the panic zone, he obviously was not open to change or learning because all he was doing was thinking about survival. After acknowledging his fears and taking some time to decompress, he was able to actually come back and conquer those fears, which I think were mostly of me dropping someone 30 feet from the air in front of him. So pretty justified to be panicked when you're worried about someone's health and safety. Awesome. Lots of great answers. Well done, team. So I have another question for all of you. Can you think of a time you helped yourself get from the panic zone back to the stretch zone? What did you do? Feel free to share in the chat. So here's a picture of me at a recent climbing competition. I was coming into a very steep section of the qualification route and could feel my heart rate starting to rise. Whenever this happens, I like to use sensory grounding techniques. My favorite is the 5-4-3-2-1 method. Rachel actually led us through a similar meditation at the beginning of our session during her land acknowledgement. So this meditation or this focusing activity goes through 5 things that you see, 4 things that you touch, 3 things that you hear, 2 things that you smell, and 1 thing that you taste. In this moment, I remember the world slowing down. I focused in on every little detail about my route, the color of the holds, the feeling of their texture, the sounds of voices cheering, the smell of sweat, and yummy pancakes. I usually follow this up with a big inhale and, more importantly, a ginormous exhale, reminding my body and my mind that I'm safe, I'm not in danger, I do this sport for fun, and I don't have to be here if I don't want to be. A big sigh is a great way to reconnect the body and brain when they start operating on different programs. It's my quickest way to recalibrate and get all the systems working together again. So let's take a second, another big breath, but instead of just exhaling, I want to hear your loudest sigh. It can be silly, it can be serious, but all together, we're going to do a big inhale and let it all out. Doesn't that feel so good? I'm almost ready to go back to sleep now. Sarah, I'm going to need another move activity after this. So after all of that, I start feeling much better. I come down from my route and my mindset is fully reset. Being in the spotlight is not my favorite place to be, but it has taught me a few things. It has taught me to practice mindfulness and breathing, self-calming techniques, and that climbing for me is a lot less about the competition and more about the community. Through climbing, I have met a plethora of positive, passionate, playful, and pleasantly kind people. These individuals are ones who approach every potential problem with a solution-based mindset. I have another question for you. What sort of limiting factors do you believe exist in climbing? What sort of things would stop someone from being able to do the sport? Let me know in the comments. How about being visually impaired or blind? You can't climb if you can't see, right? What about with only one leg? What are they going to do? Hop up the wall? What if you have no use of your legs at all? If you can't walk, how on earth would you climb? Believe it or not, I know people with every single one of these impairments, and they absolutely crush. No ceiling, no limits. Hand down, my favorite thing about the disabled climbing community is that there's always a way and no one gets left behind. I've seen folks get piggybacked, gaitored, and straight up dragged into the crag. So if you don't know what a crag is, that's the word that we use for outdoor climbing areas. So a crag would be a zone that has a bunch of different walls that we can climb on. So I've got many, many stories of people who have limitations with walking, getting piggybacked in, of using ATVs, of having little funny wheelbarrow type devices to get in. But like I said, no ceiling, no limit. I've seen people with no legs, no eyes, no fingers, and no bad attitudes do whatever it takes to get outside and do what they love. The only limitations are the ones that we set for ourselves. Climbing is an amazing equalizer. I'd like everyone to go find a partner who is close to the same height as you. And then I want you to stretch out your arms as far as they'll go. Reach out your fingertips like you're trying to hug an elephant. So once you found that partner, again, we're going to stretch out our arms and we're going to compare. What do you notice? Are your arms the same length? Are they shorter? Are they longer? How do you think this may affect your ability to climb? In paraclimbing, the abilities and disabilities are so vastly different. There's no point in even trying to compare. Paraclimbers shift the questions from if I can do it to how I can do it. So there's one place I never have to work to feel calm. My comfort zone is definitely outside. As much as I love competition climbing, it will never compare to my love of the outdoors. There is something so special about having your toes in the soil and hands on naturally refrigerated rock in the heat of summer. Yes, I said naturally refrigerated rock. This bouldering area is actually called the icebox. You know how heat rises? Well, there are a series of hidden caves under many of these boulders that store cold air year-round. And if you enter the special circumference, you get to experience the frigid air that they hold. Who needs air conditioning indoors when you can play outside at a comfortable temperature through the heat of summer? Climbing has allowed me to connect with the environment in a profound way. From hanging 50 feet in the air in Skaha Provincial Park to scoping out new climbs at home crags with friends. Exploring the Crooked River and basalt columns in Smith Rock, to an all-girls climbing trip with the squad. Scaling high above burned forests and new growth, to chilling on the coast at Seal Cove. This sport has taken me to so many places and introduced me to beautiful faces, and has consolidated my love of corn.
I think unfortunately it's not playing.
Oh no! Well, I included a really fun song for all of you, and unfortunately it may not be playing through. But if anyone knows the Kid Talks, the corn song, the one that's like, corn, I couldn't imagine a more beautiful thing, that's what's supposed to be playing right now. So thank you all for joining me today. And I hope you walk outside and examine your surroundings through a different lens, one that is ready to observe, learn, welcome, change, and grow. Different does not equal dangerous, and unfamiliar should not be unwanted. Don't let the challenges you face define your response to adversity. It's not about if, but how you can face it. And most importantly, go play outside. I'm going to try to play the song one more time, just for your listening pleasure.
No, it's too bad.
No?
So good.
Okay. Well, we gave it our best go. Thank you all so much for having me. I'm going to pass it back to Rachel, who might pass it back to me.
Adam did say they all know the song. So I'm glad they know the reference and that they're probably all singing it in their class now. So thank you so much, Em. As a rock climber myself, it was just so great to hear what got you into the sport and how your love of the outdoors is really what brought you into this. And thank you for sharing more about your experiences as a rock climber. Adam is saying, "We promise we will play it."
Wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that.
Amazing. If you have a question for Em, we do have some time for a little bit of some question period here. So feel free to put any questions you might have in the chat. If there's also something that Em talked about that resonated with you, feel free to share that with us as well. We'd love to know your highlights. Ooh, maybe I'm just saying this was fabulous. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm glad Adam's class really enjoyed today's
I wish I could hear them all singing right now.
I know that would be so incredible, but yeah. Maybe you, while we're waiting for some questions, you could share a little bit about what is like maybe such a cool, or maybe what's like a cool connection that you've gotten to make because of climbing.
Ooh, okay. So there's this really cool lady who lives in the United States named Maureen Beck, and she actually won an award. I believe it was like a Person of the Year award from National Geographic. So when I was just starting out learning how to climb, or not starting out learning how to climb, but I'd been climbing for a little bit, and I was trying to elevate my skill set. I found her on social media and reached out and was like, "Hey, Mo, please help me. I need to understand how to train," because everyone who's able-bodied at the gym that I attended at that time was telling me I needed to be doing like pull-ups and chin-ups and hangboard, which is like these weird little skinny rock things that my little hand doesn't fit in. So I was trying to figure out ways to modify and adapt to be able to get stronger. And she was absolutely no help at all. Rather than giving me any advice, she responded with, "I can't help you with that, but please come compete at US Nationals," which is how my competition climbing saga started. So I showed up at that comp coming in hot out the gate with absolutely no training and no idea what I was getting myself into. And I actually ended up finishing second place. And Mo, this person who I had like idolized for years, there used to be, I think they still do it, but this rock climbing film festival. And she's had a few different films premiered in that. So like, I don't know, I went from being, I thought, the only disabled climber in the world, which is so naive to say, but there's not a lot of exposure. And if you're not exposed to these things, you just don't know. To seeing her and her being such a role model and inspiration to me, to actually getting to meet her and now hold a friendship with her. Pretty cool.
That's really cool. Thanks for sharing.
No problem.
Olivia P wants to know, how you convinced that person, the belay tester, what was it that finally you convinced him to let you take the test and to show that you were a safe belay?
Honestly, a lot of time. So we, at that point in time, were going to Ottawa. I think it was like once every week or two to climb at a gym there. And I had to go a couple times and show them that I could climb normally and not be allowed to belay. So someone else was belaying me. before he kind of took me, not to say took me seriously, but before he trusted me enough to be like, okay, obviously this person is really committed. They are diligent in safety, and like working hard to prove themselves. And so he finally gave me an opportunity. But I think, yeah, the biggest thing, it was less about me convincing him and more about me just giving him the time to decompress and really think about it himself. Sometimes it just requires a little bit of patience.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Thanks. Yeah, things take time.
Totally.
Yeah. Where was one? Oh, so Brittany's class wants to know, what is the largest or highest climb that you have done? I'm assuming that would be outdoors.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I wish I knew the stats of the actual height. I would have to go and get my guidebook out to tell you. But I did I think it was a 12 pitch. It was either 12 or 16 pitches in Squamish. So when you're climbing, there's a lot of lingo. So I'll try and get you up to speed right now. But there is single pitch climbing, which is when you show up to, do you guys remember the word crag that I told you about? So you show up to a crag, and single pitch is usually anywhere from like 20 to 40 feet, or sorry, 20 to 40 meters. Sometimes they're 15, but the 15 ones aren't as fun. And those climbs, you're literally just going straight up and then straight back down. Mm-hmm. And then we have something called multi-pitch climbing, where instead of going straight up and straight down, you go straight up, and then there's these little anchors at the top that you secure yourself in, and then you pull your rope all the way up, and then you get all your gear in order, and then you climb again, another pitch, and then you do that all over again, and another pitch, and another pitch, and another pitch. So those can be hundreds of meters if you really want. And a lot of alpine climbers will link things like that to be able to access mountain summits.
Very cool. Very, very cool. A couple questions from some people, and I think I'm just going to compile it all into one general question. So maybe for some of our students that are watching that maybe they also have a disability, how have you maybe handled or navigated bullies or people that have maybe not always been as supportive of you in your pursuits? And what was maybe some advice that you could give them?
Yeah. This is a hard one. This is a question that I get asked very often. I think I have been very, very privileged in my life, in that the bullying I experienced wasn't actually related to my disability at all. And thankfully, from a very young age, my mom, bless her, used to see people staring, and she would look at me and she'd go, "Guess what time it is? Time to go explain yourself." And she would give me a little shove and send me off to make friends. So I think rather than, let me rewind. Bullying, much like our panic zone, I think often stems from a place of not understanding and being scared, which, like I said, when things are different, it's normal to feel a little bit uneasy about them. But then it's what we do with that uneasiness that's very important. So I think a great proactive way to de-escalate bullying is, if you notice someone that looks a little bit uncomfortable or confused with what's happening, just take the time to be compassionate. So show up to them and be like, "Hey, I noticed you seem a little bit uneasy. Are you feeling okay? Did you have any questions? I saw that you were staring at my hand. Do you want to know what happened?" And that's probably the most common way that I de-escalate things. So as soon as I notice someone staring, because from staring, we would maybe think, oh, then they're creating these ideas of what happened or how it affects me. And instead of just asking and being open to learning, we create these biases. So as soon as you start to see those wheels turning and those potential biases coming up, interrupt them and set them straight. So I just show up and I go, "My name's Em. What do you want to know? Do you want to know what happened? Was it a shark attack? No, it wasn't a shark attack. I wish I had a cooler story, but this is just the way that I was born." And then normally once you open up the floor and let them know that you're open to talking about it, there's no chance for bullying to even get happened.
Amazing. Oh, such a good response. Thanks so much, Em. Okay, time for one more our last question. What's maybe like next up for you in terms of like climbing, life, competing? What's on the horizon?
That is a huge question, and I don't have an answer, which is the crazy thing about this life is we don't always have a plan.
Mhm.
For the last 5 years, I have poured my heart and soul into competing with hopes that my category would move on to the Paralympics in 2028 in LA. Earlier this year, they made the announcement that unfortunately my category will not move forward. So a little bit of information about how that all works. In many para sports, you're grouped based off of your impairment or disability, which is so hard to do because all disabilities are so vastly different. But what essentially happened is the category I'm in is called AU3, so it's a partial hand amputee. The category that I used to be in and was moved from was AU2, which is a partial arm amputation, which obviously I am below wrist, so I can move. So I have an advantage. So because of that, they chose to take the more impaired group and move them forward to the Paralympics, which means I am no longer a candidate, which means I have to revisit whether or not I'm going to continue competing, as it's an unfunded sport in Canada and it costs a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. Oh, awesome. Well, thank you for. I'm so sorry that that's what happened.
That's
But,
okay.
but yeah,
I
thank
still love climbing, and it means I get to focus on outdoor climbing and on being part of those communities and still helping to grow the sport for the next generation, so that maybe the next person who has a disability that is similar to me will get to go to the Paralympics.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's so important that we don't have to just do sports to compete. We can also just do sport for the love of it. So
Absolutely.
yeah. Well, thank you again so much, Em, for joining us today, for sharing just all about you and your approach to climbing, and especially with like how you approach it with your hand impairment. So thank you so much for your time and for speaking to students as part of Take Me Outside Week. I can't think of anyone better to have wrapped up the week than you and Sarah from Move. So
Thank you so much.
yeah, there's been lots of like positive folks in chat. Some people had to leave a little bit early, but this is a recording, so they can come back and watch the question part of this this session. Yeah, just a few reminders. Like I said, today is the last day of the virtual sessions for Take Me Outside Week. So we highly encourage you to head outside today. And we'd love to know, what are your plans for getting outside? I know Adam's class shared that they're going to do some reflection on the week and spend some time in nature today. So we'd love to know, how are you and your class planning to get outside today? And if you happen to take some photos while you're outside, feel free to share them with us using the hashtag #TakeMeOutsideDay. You can also do so by emailing us, or we now have a photo submission form found on our website that you can share those along with all of the outdoor learning moments that you've had this week. I just want to say a special thank you to our prize and resource partners, the Outdoor Learning School and Store, Strong Nations, Inside Education, Science World, Oceanwise, and River Institute for donating resources and prizes for today's session. We have picked some prize winners, and those will be emailed out in the recap email along with this recording of the session later today. Thank you again so much, Em, Sarah, and happy Take Me Outside Week, everybody. And we hope to hear from you soon, see you at a future event, and see you next year for Take Me Outside Week. Bye, everybody.